Hello, gentle viewers. This is Indian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 21 with the Baltimore Orioles. And today we are continuing with the 2038 season. This is actually my 20th season managing the Orioles. And with 13 playoff appearances and 4 world championships, I feel pretty good about where we're looking right now. We do have to make some job offers, I believe. Or have we already actually made offers and I just haven't. Oh, right, a couple of guys retired, didn't they? Mr. Pasquale, you can be the pitching coach for... Oh, wow, you really don't want to work for the Gulf Coast League. Okay. Oh, you know what? Maybe he's from the Dominican, or he's from the area, and he just wants to hang out with his people. That's totally reasonable. I wonder if Jack Leiter is a coach. He is not. What a shame. I'll pick Rick here. He seems like a good dude. And then there's another coaching spot I need to fill. I need a manager. I'm looking to see also if I see Adley Rutschman, but apparently not. There's Scott Kazmir. Who cares about him? I want my team to learn how to be more like Jack Leiter. That's what I want from my life. I'm going to go ahead and pick Casey Kopitsky here. Just because of his dev influence. Good lord. Alright, dude. Is anyone else making that much money in the system? I mean, I am, but I deserve it. I deserve every cent. I'm the best. Anyway. So, what did we do last episode? Well, we found ourselves a new right fielder, for now, in Manny Castillo. We have acquired pretty much no other new position players. It was mostly about fixing the right field hole, letting Jake Metzler be the second baseman on day 1 of the season, and giving Danny Allison a full season to show what he can do over the course of a complete season. Not much changed here. Pitching staff-wise, again, not a whole lot changed. We did get Jeff Lee. Not just because he's from Cleveland, but that is pretty cool that he's from Cleveland. We mostly got him because we got him incredibly cheaply, and he profiles to be a pretty good reliever, even if we don't keep him as a starter. So I'm more than happy to give him a shot and maybe find a new Chris Thomas. Speaking of which, the old Chris Thomas has found a new team. He is now pitching for the Angels, and he's making a boatload of money, and I wish him well. Did I shortlist him? I did. Good. I wish him well. And I know I said last week that about $8 million isn't unreasonable for one win above replacement. I have to make sure that we have the money to pay the heavy hitters. I mean that both figuratively and literally. Because, oh boy. Dave Johnson could opt out this season, and then Danny Moreno could opt out next season. And we are not remotely ready to deal with either of those two situations. I like to try to reduce payroll a little bit, and there's been one name that I keep ignoring, and I really shouldn't be. Shigeki Udaka. Now, a couple of people have asked me in the past to talk about how I build bullpens and how bullpens ought to work, generally speaking. And I think this is a good time to do it, because if you understand how I do my approach, then maybe you'll understand how to do it better in your own games. The first and most important thing to keep in mind with relievers, is ratings matter, but not very much. And you're going to be like, what? But it's absolutely true. And here's an example. Let's look at Juan Castaneda. he has been a consistently pretty decent reliever, except the year he wasn't. And this is because the number one thing to keep in mind for a reliever is sample size. Because relievers pitch so few innings in a given year relative to a starter, you can never be sure what their true performance level is until they've pitched for 3 or 4 seasons. I mean, is the Castaneda from 2033 the real Castaneda? Probably not. He only pitched 12 2/3 of an inning. That's not enough to know if any pitcher's good. You can take Hall of Famers and garbage tier players, cherry pick 12 innings, and make them either look like the greatest pitcher of all time or somebody who can't even put their pants on correctly in the morning. That's how dumb they are. And the only way to find it out is to give players opportunities. So stats give you something of an idea of whether a player is good or not. But it really just needs to be, you need to find pitchers that you reasonably are confident with, give them the ball, and let them figure it out. So that's item number 1. You can't trust the ratings. Because the ratings are simply not trustworthy. Not the way they are for starters, and that's point number 1. There are certain roles you must always fill in a bullpen, and you can't avoid them, and it's worth paying extra to get the right person for the right job. You must, 100% of the time, without exception, have at least a closer that you can trust. Not because of the way the saves work, because saves are garbage. Saves are the second worst stat in baseball. Only RBIs are worse. But because you need to know someone that you can count on in an emergency if the game is really close. When a team regularly exceeds or falls behind its Pythagorean record, which is calculated by squaring the runs scored and the runs allowed and applying some math voodoo to get you where you need to go, it's usually bullpen and defense are the 2 areas that you'll notice where if you're lacking in either of those areas, you're going to fail. Why am I saying this? A closer is important and worth paying if you use them correctly. So let me give you a real-life example. In 2016, when Cleveland went to the World Series, they had a pitcher named Andrew Miller, who on any other team would probably have been considered a closer, but that's not how Cleveland used him. Instead, Terry Francona used Andrew Miller as his, this is a critical situation, I don't care the inning, I don't care what the score is, I need to get these outs. Andrew, go in, get it done. That is the stopper role in OOTP. And in point of fact, that's why the role was actually even added to OOTP, was because of Andrew Miller. Cody Allen was the closer for Cleveland that season. And he was a good pitcher too. He just wasn't Andrew Miller. There's only one Andrew Miller. That's a lot. There's probably thousands of people on planet Earth named Andrew Miller. But there's only one that pitched for the Indians in 2016. That's the stopper. That's not what the closer does. So the way I envision the closer when I build my bullpens is actually somewhat counterintuitive. They need to be someone who isn't going to screw things up for me. So it needs to be someone with a good track record. I value that more than just about anything else in a closer. I don't care how many saves they have. I will happily take someone out of the closer role, put them back in, take them out, put them back in. And I'm not going to lose 1 second of sleep about that decision. I don't commit to closers for the sake of committing to closers. And Brandt did a great job last season. Fantastic job. If I lost him at the end of the season, I would be sad, but I would not be angry about it. Because he is just a closer. Let's talk about the save as a stat. In case you're new to baseball, or in case you didn't see my 2018 videos where I talked about baseball in general. A pitcher gets a save if one of 2 things happens. 1, they are the last pitcher on the mound. They have to pitch at least a full inning. In a game that is decided by 3 runs or less. So it's literally just circumstance. if you have played a really long game, it's 15-12, and Chris Brandt steps into the game. He gives up 2 runs immediately, but then gets the last 3 outs. He gets a save, even though he didn't pitch that well. That's how saves work. The other possibility is, regardless of the score, and these are the absolute worst saves, all you have to do is pitch 3 innings. And as long as you're the last pitcher in the game, and it was a save situation, it didn't have to be a save situation. You have to pitch 3 innings. That's it. It could be 436-1, and you pitch the last 3 innings of the game, then by golly, you got a save. And it's so unbelievably stupid. And I know I'm exaggerating, but I'm hoping that you understand why I dislike the save intensely as a measure of whether a reliever is good or not. Because it's just it's not good. It's a bad way to do it. WAR isn't great for relievers. It's really, really good, but it's not perfect. And this is because WAR is based on what a pitcher can control. So it gives extra credit for things like innings and strikeouts and reduces for walks. That's how it works for pitchers. It's great for starters, but it can be often very confusing for relievers because they pitch so few innings compared to even an average starter. So, for me, for a closer, I'm looking for somebody who gets a lot of strikeouts. And I'm looking for someone who generally doesn't give up home runs. That's what I look for. Brandt is not great at the second of those things. If we look here, he gave up 12 home runs. 12 home runs in 58 appearances is a lot of home runs. That's bad. That's 2 home runs per 9 innings. And for a guy who only pitches 1 inning most of his starts, sometimes even less, that's very troubling. That's definitely not what you want to see in a pitcher. However, he just finished the season before that in which he didn't give up very many home runs. Was it bad luck? Is something worse about him? Who knows? But I'm willing to let him be the closer because I honestly don't value the position that much. The more important position is a guy like an Andy Cohen. Someone who can pitch 70, 80, 90 innings in a season, pitch when you need him to as long as you need him to. And he used to be the closer, so I have him using him to his full potential, but his great stamina, his very good stuff, his excellent control, and his excellent pitch combination all lead me to believe he'd be a better stopper. I want him to be the first person on the phone in a close situation. I don't care if he gets any fancy number at the end of it. In fact, I kind of rather he wouldn't, because save values drive up players' values. That's how real Major League Baseball works. If you get a lot of saves, people think you're a proven closer, and they give you more money. And I don't want my players to make more money. Does it make me a dick? Maybe. But I want them to play for me for a very long time, and not have to pay them very much. So a guy like Cohen is more valuable to me than a guy like Brandt. Even though Brandt looks like he's the better pitcher in a lot of ways, and he's actually paid better, I actually value Cullen more. If I had to keep just Brandt or just Cullen, I would actually take Cullen and just find a new closer next year. Now, the setup man is sometimes necessary, sometimes not necessary, and it really just depends on the team. If you have 3 great relievers that you trust, there's no reason not to make one of them a setup man. And what the setup man does is he's like, I am the bridge between the starter and the closer in an ideal situation. Most starters just don't go 7 innings anymore. In fact, 6 innings is what you expect from most starters. So that's what Castaneda is here to do. I don't value setup men a whole lot either, because it's just a middle reliever having a great year. That's how I see it. That's how that position works. You always need the second most important position is the specialist, the lefty specialist. With modern day baseball rules being what they are, which is that once a pitcher enters the game, they have to pitch for 3 batters. It's less important than it used to be, but it's still absolutely critical to have someone that can get out the tough lefties when you need them to, especially if your rotation doesn't have a lot of great lefties in it. And Sonny Hoskins is a lefty. But he's also very vulnerable to home runs. He had a great season last year. I'm really worried about his ability to be great going forward, but we won't worry about that right now. So you need a good lefty killer. You need someone who is consistent, who doesn't allow home runs, who just gets lefties out. And if we take a look at a guy like Sevenin, he's only a 50 overall. He's not that great a pitcher. But if I look at his split versus left-handers, he's dynamite. He's great. He's excellent. And this is with a really high BABIP, which means when they do hit the ball, they actually tend to do a lot of damage with it. And against righties, he's not nearly so good. But that's not his job. I don't actually care how good he is against righties, because that's not why I would be bringing him in. I would bring him in to handle really tough lefties. And that's what he does very well. The last thing I value very highly, and you've seen me do this season after season after season, I love the long man emergency starter role as a way to break in a young starting pitcher. That's exactly why I picked Nate Lang in the draft. Not the draft, the Rule 5 draft. Do I think he's going to be an ace? I don't. But he's a ground ball pitcher, which means he probably won't give up very many home runs. And he's got loads and loads of talent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him at the back end of my bullpen. I'm going to say, if someone gets hurt or if someone gets suspended, you're going to fill in and be the starter. And then we're going to evaluate at the end of the season. And I'm probably going to send him to AAA, unless he has just an amazing balls-to-the-wall season. So for me, the three positions in the bullpen that I'm always going to spend extra attention on are stopper, if I have one. And if I don't have a pitcher that I trust that much, I'll just make him another middle reliever, and then I'll reevaluate, and I'll move people around in their various roles. Stopper, lefty specialist, long man emergency guy. Those are the three roles that I value and that I use for specific purposes. Closer, I just want a guy who strikes people out. That is the number one concern to me for a closer. Because anytime a batter puts the ball in play, bad things can happen. If you strike him out, fewer bad things can happen. Therefore, if it's a close situation, I want Chris Brandt out there to strike people out. If he gives up a home run, he gives up a home run every once in a while. I want him striking people out. That's what I want. All of this is to bring up an important point that I kept glossing over in the past because my brain just didn't work that way. You may remember me signing Shigeki Udaka. He came out of International League. I was like, I'm going to make this man my closer. He's got good stamina. He has a role to play in this bullpen. He also cost me $8 million. He is the highest paid player in my bullpen. And let's take that one step further. He is paid a little more than my ace. This is a bad allocation of resources. This is a very bad allocation of resources. And he's been fine. But he's not that important to our success. He's just another guy. I have dozens of people with his skill level or better that I can basically pluck out of the minors and have success with. Like, Steve Reeves is earning $870,000. Is he 10 times worse than Udaka? Of course he isn't. So I'm actually going to try to trade Udaka. And we're going to see what we can get for him. I want prospects, please. I'm not even that fussy about who we get. And we get nothing. That's not a huge surprise. Other teams are also going to value him less. Because he has that expensive reliever who doesn't get saves, which basically makes him untenable. I'm just curious. If I increase the money I'm willing to take on, can I actually upgrade an important position? Probably not, but it's worth looking at. I'm getting decent offers, but they're all for people with even bigger contracts. Which makes sense. If you're going to trade a player like that, you're going to trade someone that's going to cost a lot of money. Fine. So basically, by trading him, what I'm trying to do is get out of this player option. That's what I'm trying to do. But maybe it's not worth trading him right now. Maybe I should just hang on to him. Because there's nobody that's going to cost me less money right now except for maybe like Eric Bravo. I just don't feel particularly good about any of these deals right now. We'll come back to it later on. Maybe I can use him to add an important player later on. Who knows? Excuse me. But I wanted to spend some time talking about bullpens because I had gotten a couple people asking about them. And I want to explain how I put them together. All that is to say, we've got some difficult financial decisions to make at the end of this season. If Dave Johnson opts out of his contract, and I really don't know if he will or not, I'm going to need a new catcher. Now, the upside of that is I can immediately use the $35 million that I would have saved and use to extend someone like Rodrigo Rivera. Man, I like Rivera, but I'm just not convinced that he is the frontline starter that we really need. We're still lacking a big time starting pitcher. Like, again, I see the ratings, I see his performance, but he's always going to be someone that gives up a lot of home runs. That's just who he is. And because that's who he is, he's never going to be the very best of fits in this ballpark. Maybe I should trade him. I don't know. But I don't want to trade him because I don't have a ready replacement yet. Chris Schneider is close. He hasn't exactly set the world on fire in the minors, but he's got a lot of raw talent, and I definitely want him to get a chance to make that talent happen. Plus, he's a ground ball pitcher, and he's a lefty, and I like both of those things an awful lot. Tim Yeager is next man up, by the way. If things don't work out for Castillo, then Yeager's getting called up. And we'll let him have a turn as the right fielder. Anyway, I think we are ready to get started. Let me just take one last look at the team. If Meyer wants $3 million, he's gone. He's been very useful for what he does, which is he's an outstanding defensive outfielder who draws enough walks to not make as bad an embarrassment. But Castillo can basically play Meyer's role for a lot less money. And I'm not doing what major league teams do that drives me up, pardon my language, it drives me up the fucking wall. Why do I say pardon my language? I swear all the time. That's never going to change. But here's what drives me up the wall. It's when teams cut payroll just so they can earn more money. They're not trying to be competitive. They're not trying to invest in the team. They just want to take money off the payroll so they can make money. I get it. People who own a baseball team want to earn money. That's fine. But from my perspective as a fan, it sucks. It really sucks. Losing Francisco Lindor this offseason really has me bummed about Cleveland this season. And I know we got a fairly good haul for him. But there is no reason why a billionaire, or at least a multimillionaire, could not have afforded to pay Francisco Lindor. They chose not to do it. And they did it for whatever reason they did it. That's fine. But that was a choice that they made. And to sell it as, you know, oh, boo-hoo, we lost money. Everyone lost money in the 2020 season. Cleveland's a small media market. Cleveland's always been a small media market compared to a Chicago or a New York or an LA or a Boston. And if you're a Boston fan, you know what I'm talking about. And in particular, you know about Mookie Betts and what utter bullshit that trade was. I don't know what argument you can make to trade someone like a Mookie Betts if you're Boston. You have that much revenue. You're that successful. I don't know how you give him up. The Dodgers are probably the right team to follow, or even the Padres. They're actually trying to win, which I respect. But yeah, that really bummed me out when Cleveland traded him. Why are you rated so highly? I wonder. We'll wait and see how you turn out. I'm going to let you just do your thing for now. Yeah, this is what I mean when I say I've got a million guys like Udoka in the system. 65 right here. I've got a 60 right here. I've got a 60 one day right here. I've got other pitchers here. I've got lots of... This is why I will always trade for backup relievers, because I'll just store them in my system for a rainy day, and then I'll bring them out, and then we'll be in good shape. Alright. Anything I would like to do before the season begins? Stop talking so much, really. Let's play some baseball, my dudes. Month 1. A personal message? Oh, right. I had offered Dave Meyer up for Juan Rodriguez and Chad Batchelder. Let's complete it. And then, that was my plan. I'm going to call up Yeager. And Yeager's actually going to be the opening day right fielder. And Castillo is going to be... do you have a hole in your swing? You sure do. You do not like facing lefties. Well, then I guess I'll platoon you with Castillo. And then Yeager, you're going to fill in at the outfield positions. Against lefties. And then Castillo, you're going to fill in against righties. Boom. That instantly clears off a decent bit of salary off of my books and gives me a bit more flexibility for next season. I mean, is Washington going to start Meyer? Maybe. If they do, they'll regret it. Because Washington ain't that good. Or Meyer ain't that good. He's just a really good defensive center fielder who sometimes draws walks. I wish him well. And in fact, I'm going to shortlist him just to see how he does. But I don't think I'm going to regret that move. I got my coaches. Thank you for stopping my game to tell me this incredibly important fact. Absolutely not. What the hell is wrong with you? Why would I want this player ever? Oh, whoops. You get demoted. You two get put on the 40-man and then demoted. I do want to try to clear off some 40-man spots this offseason. We'll see what happens. Maya is going to be hurt for a bit. That's totally fine. I'm not going to put him on the DL. Instead, I'm just going to have the manager bench him for 14 days. We're going to let Castillo play center for 14 days. No. We're going to do 10 days. I think that's good. I think that's a good compromise. Just give him a nice break. Let Castillo get some reps in center. And then we're not doing so hot this season. We're off to kind of a bad start. I wonder what the deal is. It's clear not Luis Jimenez. Holy shit. No big changes here. Nothing too impressive. That's fine. So, what is our issue in May? Our offense is great. Our pitching staff is hot garbage. Holy shit. Okay. The defense isn't great. That is mildly disconcerting. Who's playing badly defensively? They should all be fine. Jimenez? Really? I mean, I'm basing it only on zone rating, and I guess I should be focusing more on efficiency. Why is Dave Johnson's efficiency in the toilet? He's made 3 errors. Okay, fine. What is your defensive malfunction, my friend? 2 passed balls. I'm not that bothered by it. We're just gonna keep going. This is not enough. This is not enough information to make any decision on, quite frankly. Let's just keep on keeping on. Yeah, I don't care. On we go. Alright. Diaz breaking his finger is unfortunate. We're going to have to find a new... And Allison is hurt too? Oh, just his arm is... He's got some arm issues. That's fine. Who is the best hitter in the minors? It's probably Gonzalez, right? I think he's the best overall hitter. Like, Corbin might be someday, but I think Gonzalez is the guy that I would like to call up. Cooper's not a good enough hitter, quite frankly, to be a DH. So we're going to go ahead and let Edgar Gonzalez... Gonzalez is going to be our DH against lefties. Or right-handed pitching, sorry. And I guess Cooper can do it against lefties. I guess he's earned that right. Cooper, and then Gonzalez backing up. I could really use another first baseman. I wonder, is there an interesting cheap first baseman that I could sign whose only purpose would be to back up and be a DH on occasion? First base. I really like a guy like Kevin McMahon, actually. I bet I can even probably sign him to a minor league deal and he'd take it. He wants a signing bonus. That's fine. That's reasonable. Yeah, I'm very fine with that. Let's keep going. Well, them are the breaks. We need a new long man. Elliot, you're next man up. You're going to be emergency starter, long reliever. Already ERA is starting to get a little bit better. I think it was just a weird fluke, and that will be fine in the long term. We got Kevin McMahon. Awesome. I can't believe the dude hit 19 home runs last season, and he's just like an afterthought right now. It goes to show you. Okay, this is getting stupid. Please stop. How is all of this happening? Man. And now we're in kind of an awkward situation because I don't have anyone else that I trust to play center. I could have Corb play first. Julio Amaya? Yeah, I think he's probably the best choice of the remaining options. And the real unfortunate part is I now don't have a platoon partner for him. And right. Yeager, you're gonna have to figure it out. You know what? Give me a depth chart at this point. I am fine with all of this. And here too, please. Stop playing Cooper so much. I get why you like him because of his power. But Metzler's fine. He does the job. I'm not worried about that. The Red Sox are off to quite a start this season. Are you fucking kidding me? What the hell is with my outfielders this season? Like, seriously. I think that's one of the things I find most frustrating about OOTP is just I can have a pretty damn good team trainer. And yes, okay, fine, he allows leg injuries, whatever. But they're only getting injured by things he should be able to stop. If I understand how team trainers work in this game, which I fully acknowledge I might not. Yeah, see, this is ridiculous. How is everyone getting injured this quickly into the season? Like, that is 4 people injured in the first 2 months of the season, all of them for extended periods of time. I guess it's a good thing I got so many outfielders last season, because everyone's getting a turn. Corb, you're a righty. Oh, it was my DH, right? Yeah, it was my DH. I guess it could have been anyone. Fuck it, I'm just going to put in Corb. I don't even care right now. We're just trying to survive until some of these players get back. Player development. Solis is getting worse at drawing walks. I don't really care. Not a lot going on in the minors. Well, at least Rodrigo Rivera is having a nice season. That's good for him. It's Jose Santoya. That's why Boston's so good. I'm kidding. Ooh, where are you from, Kamal? Out of curiosity. Oh, born in Illinois. How about that? We're 32, so we're going to get a bad draft. We're not going to get a great player no matter who is left. So, there's several excellent relief pitchers that are available this late in the draft. I don't really like using a first round pick on a reliever unless it's like a supplemental pick. Let's look at Steve Cook. Mr. Cook, I don't know if I trust you. Alright, so let's break him down. He's 6'8", so he's a big dude. Which means he'll probably eventually put more heat on his fastball, which means he'll probably get more strikeouts. That's good. He's got a load of interesting pitches. He's got 6 different pitches. None of them are spectacular, but they're all good. He's going to have really good control, and he's going to strike out a fair few people. His movement isn't great. His movement is not great. But he's from El Paso, but went all the way to Louisiana for his... Okay. Good stamina. It says he's a ground baller. If he is a ground baller, he's a good starter for us to take. If he's not, he's going to be a bad choice. He also wants an awful lot of money. Let's look at Classy Dave here. Again, played against average competition, a lot of the same things. His 4th pitch is garbage, though. He's got a really good slider, a decent cutter, and a good knuckle curve. His changeup is a garbage tier pitch, though. And he's just kind of got mediocre pitching ratings. What about Dan Tolk? He could be special, but he really wants to go to college. The other possibility is Mike Castillo, who's an average hitter with no natural position. He's got a hell of an arm, but other than that, he's not that impressive. I think we're going to take Cook. We're making the best out of a number of options that aren't particularly inspiring, especially because the dingus here, okay, now I love him, is left-handed. That could be a big deal there. Here's my supplemental pick, and now I will probably consider taking a reliever. Great competition, good stuff, very good movement, extreme ground baller. I like all of that. I don't love his control, so we're going to think about that. We're going to look at these other options too. Beecher rather, is more of a work in progress, but I think he's the better pitcher. It looks like they made him a starter in his 3rd season. That's very unusual to just turn someone into a starter, but he did very well at it. That's interesting. I like his flexibility, and I like his pitch combinations. They're all very good. I like his stuff and his movement. I think we go ahead and take Mr. Beecher here. Especially on the off chance he turns out to be a good pitcher, right? All right. Mike Castillo, you're such a good hitter that I'm willing to draft you and hope that you figure out how to play defense. Although I'm not very enthusiastic about your chances. High school players are a good risk for us because we're so well established. If they don't turn out, it's not as bad for us. Oh, right, you're the impossible kid. The one who really wants to... Yeah, I don't care that much about you. Jeremy McCubbin. You're a good defender, actually. I will take you, Jeremy. Plus, you actually played at Cal State Fullerton, which is a very well-known baseball school. and I kind of don't care at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and let my scouting director pick everyone else. No, that's a lie. I should at least look for anyone with unusually good batting potential. A guy like Jeremy Fromm definitely has a pretty great bat. Even if he went to a fairly minor college, I'd be interested to see how he turns out. Draft. And then a guy like Juan Dorado has a pretty high offensive future. Any depth at catcher left? Do we have any decent catchers? I will draft a guy like Ken Granville. Not for $1 million though. I'd rather get like Marty Cantu, who's a really good defensive catcher who might figure out how to hit. Plus he's free. Free is always better than paying more. And then I'm going to look at pitching potential, and I'm going to look at anybody who might secretly be like a flamethrower deep in the draft because he's been miscast. Like, I don't think Joba Allman is all that great because he's such a soft tosser, but he's 17 years old, and it's the 7th round. Why not take a flyer on him? It's just money. And I'm going to take Ed Bowles for free. A stereotypical flamethrower. Gets the job done. And I'm going to go ahead and let my scouting director pick the rest of my players. Time to negotiate. I will happily pay a premium for a guy like Steve Cook. It's just money. Most importantly, it's not my money. Like, I wouldn't pay... Like, if I was a multimillionaire myself, I wouldn't pay him $7 million. But, you know, it's not my money. Which I guess is, you know, kind of a fair counter-argument to my whole owners who try to win with their sports teams. Maybe. I don't know. I have a hard time sympathizing with people who make millions and millions of dollars when so many other people are suffering. So, that's just me. Bone chips for a reliever is not a great look. Let's call up Rees. Rees has been adequate in the past. He can handle the job of just throwing innings every now and again. Look at my man, Andy Collin, getting it done. Look at Udaka. Udaka is really making a believer out of me. Seivanen, not so much. Steven, if you can't even get lefties out, your usefulness to me vanishes. And you're getting lit up by lefties. It's not a good look, my friend. I just got through saying how important I found that position, and then you pitch this badly. It is 4 2/3 innings. Did you literally just, like, come into a game and give up a grand slam? Is that your issue? No, you give up a 3-run homer. Alright. I didn't actually want to go to the next month. That's fine. People are signing. We love to hear it. Okay, we can get our DH back. Fantastic. Who goes down to the minors? Wow, Yeager tanked. We thought very highly of him quite recently. There's no real rhyme or reason for that. I'm going to trust my scout's previous judgment. Corb back to the minors. Diaz in. Diaz instantly becomes my everyday DH. And then we regenerate the depth chart. Oops. I don't mind Cooper filling in once a week. I just think it's silly for them to keep wanting me to let him start so often. I'm not saying he's not useful. I'm just saying I don't get why there's this obsession to let Cooper start. All right. How are we doing at this point in the season? Anything I can fix? I mean, I could push Amaya lower in the batting order. Hitting 223 is not a great look for him. I mean, I don't know who I'd bump up in the lineup, though, unless I just push up Jimenez. I think Jimenez is pulling a fast one on me. He's a decent third baseman who hits for a lot of contact and hits for a fair few doubles. But he doesn't get on base very often, and he doesn't hit home runs. I think I'm maybe overrating him. To a certain degree. Maybe not. I don't know. Are you just unlucky, Amaya? Or are you actually just playing badly? This looks like bad luck to me. If he was anywhere near his career numbers, I think we'd see a pretty significant improvement. We'll let Amaya keep going. I'm not going to punish him yet. Yeager's got big league power. I wish he would draw. I wish he'd hit for a little bit better contact. But he's handling himself. Not a bad player at all. All right, Tim. You're having some defense issues. Your walk rate has spiked versus last season. You need to fix this, Hoskins. I'm counting on you. Jeff Lee, is the experiment over? You're getting lit up really badly. You're not keeping the ball on the ground. Yeah, I can't afford to have you pitch like that. So, Dan Elliott, congratulations. You're getting your shot in the majors. Jeff Lee, you're my long reliever and emergency starter. Yeah, you're just getting hit really badly. I bet it's because you don't have a good third pitch. But most importantly, you're not putting the ball on the ground. You're telling me that you're a ground ball pitcher. This is not a ground ball pitcher. This is someone who's elevating their pitches. I think you're probably having issues. Chris Brandt, you're striking people out. That's what I'm looking for. If you could maybe walk some of them a little bit less frequently, I'd feel better about it. But I'm honestly fine with that. Mr. Castaneda. Are you having issues? Everyone's giving up homers. That's not a good look for y'all. Yeah, my demons actually bailed you out quite a bit. So Castaneda, no, I can't overreact to 18 innings. I just got through saying how I can't do that. 60-plus innings, at a certain point, you get to know how a pitcher actually is. And what you are as a pitcher that I can't trust, Mr. Lee. Can't think of a single pitcher that I've ever had that has undergone more crippling injuries than him. Like, just look at this gross injury history. I think Reese is probably done. I'm going to call up Kalna. And you're going to be a middle reliever, long reliever. I'm going to get you to pitch some innings every now and again. How did your Major League start go, Mr. Elliott? I am curious. You got roughed up pretty badly. But, you know, we'll see how you do. I don't think we're making the playoffs this year, my friends. I really don't. Not unless things start to turn around for some of our players. Let's see. None of Baltimore's pitchers. I guess that's fair. Dave Johnson makes it. Hey, Jordan Lara's having a good season. Bob Solis makes it. Danny Moreno makes it. Luis Amaya makes it. The usual suspects, pretty much. How is Jordan Lara doing with Seattle? You know what? He's turning in a legitimately good season. This is peak Lara, basically. This is what I envisioned he might have been someday, but we couldn't have afforded the bad pitching. Or bad fielding, rather. Chris Schneider made the All-Star team for the minors, and no one else did. That's a shame. Our farm system is getting a little bit bare. Which is why I'm not too upset if we don't make the playoffs this year. Injecting some more talent would only be to the good. Julio Amaya, I'm going to send you to AAA and let you think about what you've done. Sorry, that was terrible. Holy fuck, game. Quit it. OOTP. I very much doubt that anyone from the company listens to my videos. If they do, great, but I'm pretty sure they don't. This is ridiculous. It is utterly absurd that there's this many injuries happening with a trainer who's supposed to be good at preventing arm injuries. So one of two things is happening here. One, this is lying to me. Or two, there are too many hidden variables that you're not making clear to the player. And that's not a fun way for someone to play a video game or a computer game. You can't do that. You can't have this stuff continually happen without giving the player a way to mitigate it, without at least explaining it. Like, I know I got through telling you earlier how much, I don't really care a whole lot about bullpens. But we're at the point where I'm probably going to lose most of my bullpen for the entire season. Yeah, oh, look, he just randomly tears his UCL. This is not a guy that's had a big workload. He should not be completely ripping this ligament off the bone. Come the fuck on, game. 5 relief pitchers on the DL. Sorry, 4. That's a right fielder. And I bet Cullen is on the way. So I'm not even going to bother calling anybody up, because you're going to cripple Cullen for the season too. Yep. This is utterly obscene. This is not acceptable, OOTP. You need to fix this. This has been a constant problem in OOTP for years, where every injury is catastrophic. Not, oh, someone's out for 3 or 4 weeks. It's constantly 6 months, 10 months, end of the career, 8 months. You need to balance the severity of the injuries more. Gosh. I don't know what to do at this point. Paras, you're in. Phipps, I'd rather you keep getting work in the minors, especially if you're starting and starting well. Campos. I just need someone to stand around and throw innings every now and again. But yeah, that's utterly absurd that these injuries are happening at this ridiculous rate when there's just no indication of how you can stop it. I try not to be too salty about stuff like this. And injuries are a part of baseball. But at a certain point, you're just being absurd. Poor Kevin Cash. He keeps thinking he's going to have a chance to manage in the majors. But then I just keep re-signing my bench coach. Admittedly, we're not scoring runs the way we have the last few seasons, but I don't blame you for that. I blame just bad luck. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an extension. You've earned it. Oh, did I have anyone in the top 100? I guarantee I probably didn't. Nope, nor should I have. Rivera's losing a bit of his stuff. Johnson's aging a bit. Cooper is aging. I guess we're all aging, like, all the time, but... Okay. Interesting. Oh, fuck you. Absolutely not. Do I have a backup catcher if I do trade Navarez? Do I have a ready replacement? I have Runge. Runge would be fine as a catcher. I wouldn't even object to him. So I'm actually going to trade Navarez. I think I've come to that conclusion. He's never been a great hitter. And he's just holding the team back because he's so bad at it right now. No, I'm not going to mess with it yet. I'm not going to mess with it yet. International amateurs, all players. Give me Juan Valdez. Fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and go a boop, 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 boop. You're getting an awful lot in return for one decent pitcher. So no thank you. I'm not interested. That's way too much. Do I fully embrace the rebuild? Maybe. But who can I really trade and get quality for? Rivera is pretty much it. Rivera is the only player I can think of that I could trade and get a decent return for. We're not scoring runs this year. And part of it is Jordan Diaz being hurt for so long. But it just seems like we're just having a down year offensively. With the exception of Solis and Moreno, who continue to be excellent. Not as good as in the past, but still very, very good. I don't think that Moreno's going to get his third MVP this year, but... Yeah, Amaya's the real issue this season. He's the offensive force that we've been missing. And I have to ask, is this just a bad season, or is there something wrong with him? I don't know the answer to that. Yeager's productive. I'm not going to criticize him too much. All right. Let's talk. At this point in the season, are we going to make the playoffs? Probably not. In fact, scratch that, almost definitely not. Like, we're 5 games out of a wild card spot. And although I know we have the offensive potential to just break out, we also have a severely crippled bullpen that is just not doing well this season. There is a lot to be said about trading players that we're not going to keep anyway. In particular, Rodrigo Rivera. I'm not saying Rivera's not an ace. I'm saying that we probably can't re-sign him. I think I'm only now coming to that conclusion, but I think it's the correct conclusion. I do not believe we can re-sign him. He wants too much money, and I've got other people I need to pay. A pretty substantial sum of money, too. So I actually think trading Rivera, now that we're pretty clearly not going to be in contention this season, makes sense. Especially when I've got some pretty good rookies I could pull up and just fill in for the rest of the season. What do I want? I could really use an outstanding third baseman, second baseman, or shortstop. For an upgrade in the middle infield, I would trade Rivera. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to shop him around and I'm going to look at infielders. I'm going to focus on prospects and regulars, not on veterans. I am not seeing great choices here. All right, let me drop prospects. Let me look at all players and let's see if I can get a truly exceptional player. All right, Greg Sanchez. Excellent shortstop, decent hitter. This cannot be the entire return. Let me put that out there. If I do decide to trade Rivera, I cannot only get a middling shortstop prospect. I can't. Victor Vega is interesting, but not really what I'm looking for. I don't need a first baseman. I don't need relievers right now. Muniz. Jake Gould. A top-tier catching prospect is worth it. And he's not just a top-tier catching prospect. He's a damn good hitting top-tier catching prospect. This deal might happen now. I'm going to keep looking to see if there's anyone else. But I definitely want more. I am not going to be satisfied with only one prospect in this deal. I'm basically handing you an ace. So you better damn well believe I'm going to get my pound of flesh. All right. Joaquin Villalobos, absolutely not. I can't imagine a worse fit on this team. Danny Miller, yes. He's an interesting player. I don't know that he'll last as shortstop, but yes for Danny Miller. And then... Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can grab a starter from your roster. You wouldn't give me Kyle Diggs, would you? That would be stupid, right? Okay. Okay, St. Louis isn't that stupid. Duly noted. I'd love to play like Danny Chacon. I'm not delusional enough to think that he'd hand him over. Is Gould enough? I'm not even sure that Gould and Miller would be enough, but Gould and Miller would be closer. Ideally, I would like a package of at least 3 players. That, I think, is what I'm looking for. David Guerrero is kind of a big fat nothing burger. No on Moreno. And Bobby Vasquez. You said you want a lot more, and you actually are asking for quite a bit more. Alright, so I can't have Vasquez, that's fine. I doubt Logan Brown is going to move the needle for you. Oh, really? I'm gonna offer this deal and see what is given to me as a result. Okay, he won't take it. There's really no other Cardinal that I covet. There's no other Cardinal that I'm looking at here and say, yes, this is the guy I'm looking for. Would you throw in Steve Dunn by chance? If I can get 2 elite catching prospects, thus increasing the chances one of them will hit, that sounds wonderful. Maybe like a Josh Stark? And then... would you throw in Joel Fernandez here? Very much likes it. Okay. And then a guy like Doug Wimbrow. No, that apparently is where you draw the line. I don't care how good you are as a player. Your name is freaking Nebuchadnezzar. I want him. Is this a big enough return for Rodrigo Rivera? Considering two items. One, I'm not re-signing Rivera. I can't afford to spend that much money on a starting pitcher who isn't elite. He's been very good for us. I've liked Rodrigo Rivera quite a bit, and he's been durable. All of that is 100% true, and that doesn't make up for the fact that he has not been elite enough. Because he just gives up too many homers. We're getting, potentially, 1 starting catcher, maybe 2. A pretty decent upgrade for the bullpen right now. A starter who, if he improves his control, could really be something special. And a guy with an incredible name. I'm going to pull the trigger. And I know the fans aren't happy about it, but they're going to get over it. You've got to make the best decision for your team, and I think that was the best decision for this team. That is what I believe. Josh Stark, I'm going to go ahead and put you up there. Jeff, I just need a starter for the rest of the year. I'm going to go ahead and let you be that starter, and then let Stark here be long relief emergency starter. Is there anyone else I would like to trade? Navarre's salary demands have plummeted, as they should. Chris Brandt really expects to be paid like an elite closer, which he hasn't earned. What could I get for you? I'm not quite going full fire sale. This is me getting payroll flexibility so I can invest in the team next season. I'm just looking for options right now. A guy like Victor Vega might actually be exactly what the doctor ordered. Man, not so much Josh Reed. Josh Jones. No, I don't trust that control. You'd be a good move for the future, but you're not a good move for right now. I think I want that one guy. Brother Maynard is okay, I guess, but not spectacular. Caleb Austin is fine, but I don't think he's that fine. I'm just going to go with my gut and take the player that excited me before. Victor Vega from the Cubs. Like, he's a decent starter right now, and I think he could be even better. I think he's exactly the kind of pitcher that would thrive in Baltimore. Now, will you give me more? You'll probably tell me no, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Fuck it. Bobby Anderson. Give them both to me. What would it take? You won't even think about it. Okay. That's fair, I suppose. You've got a lot of really young prospects, which are exactly the kind I want right now. Players who might not make us better this year, but players who will make us better in 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years. How about Chris Kruger? Done. I will happily give you this guy. I don't rate him at all. Can I get you to throw in one more player? Yeah, you're a bit of a garbage tier hitter. I get why you're not on the 40-man. Franklin Sandoval might be decent someday. I'll just take this deal as it is. This is an excellent deal for us. I'm going to call up Vega right now. And I'm going to go ahead and let Campos go back to the minors. Because I really don't want Jeff Lee starting. I don't trust him. I think he's better suited to be an excellent reliever rather than a starter. Am I still short a player? I am still short a player. I need one more reliever. Moreno. Pitching wise, I guess someone has to be the closer. It might as well be Castaneda. Kessler, I guess, can be my setup guy. Moreno, you're going to be my anti-lefty specialist. Sevenin, I'm probably going to get rid of you, but I don't care enough right now. Anyone else worth trading? Not really. Cooper, maybe. What the fuck is this? Is the AI's obsession with him? But I'm in no rush to trade Cooper. I will happily trade him in the offseason. We get Edgar Gonzalez back. That's wonderful. He's had barely any time in AAA. You're going right back to AAA. Without hesitation. I could get Andy Neal back. That would be the dumbest decision I could ever possibly make. Absolutely not. No. If you ate 100% of his salary, I would think about it. But Bobby Garza is fine. But Jody Starr might be more than fine. Jody Starr could be a starting third baseman in a couple of seasons. Yeah, sorry, Seattle. Kurt Abramovitz for John Bonda. No, I like Banda. Denied. I don't object to getting a player like Joey Powell. I think he's got an interesting bat. But I'm not going to give you someone that's actually useful like Banda for him. You want Alfredo Garbage Blanco? You can have Alfredo Blanco. I don't even care. Can I get greedy and ask for something else? Really? I can get a prospect with this much potential cachet and give up that little for it? Like a couple of nobodies? You just drafted O'Neal, so I can't get him. I'm just going to pull this deal, and I'm going to be happy about it. Stop offering me relievers. Especially a reliever like that. Yeah, this is, like... Androas is potentially awesome. I'm going to go ahead and take control of his development. And we're going to let him go ahead and play an A-ball. And we're going to see what he can do. You know what? Tomorrow's a trading deadline. Do I trade Cooper? Like, I am just not remotely convinced that Cooper is worth $4 million. He's been a reasonably decent backup who has served us well on occasion, and that's not $4 million to me. I'm going to shop him around and see if we can get a quality prospect for Cooper. Looking for green. Danny Lara. No, I don't trust that movement. Nate Forsythe would actually be a nice addition. I actually kind of like him a lot. Dan Bolick looks like a pretty damn nice relief pitcher. I'm not saying I don't want to upgrade my bullpen. I'm saying that I think our pitching staff is going to be the biggest issue. So that's why I'm leaning toward Forsythe over any of these relievers. You have a stacked farm system in terms of pitching. Can I get Kevin Lyles? No. That's fair. That's extremely fair. I could get Classy Dave. The guy I almost drafted. No, I can't get him, actually. Nope. How about an Andy Snodgrass? Nope. I'm just going to take this deal. This is very much worth it to me. And then I do need an infielder for the rest of the season, and it's probably going to be Walls. Or it could be Batchelder, who's actually already on my 40-man. Let's do it. There you go. This is just purely me trying to make the right calls. Oh, Castillo, you should be batting against left-handed pitching. Because I highly suspect if I do this, you're utterly helpless against left-handed pitching. Whereas against righties, you're pretty good. So that's fine. Nope. Any last trades I want to make? Is there any other player who wants a bunch of money that I'm not inclined to pay them to try to improve our flexibility going forward? Metzler, I don't know. I'm more than willing to give Metzler a one-year deal to prove that he can handle things. I am not opposed to that at all. Because Metzler's been decent, right? He maybe hasn't been the greatest second baseman in Major League history, but he's gotten the job done. And I think even if we didn't keep him as a starting second baseman, I think he definitely has a lot of value as a utility guy. All right. Let's just proceed to the end of the month and finish this season. A bit of a lost season. I acknowledge that. And part of it is just Danny Moreno having an excellent year instead of an insane year. And the fact, obviously, we basically had no bullpen. That's not a great look either. Oh, Schneider pushed across the threshold. I was very concerned about him never developing the necessary control. Schneider is probably going to start for us next season. Yeah, Runge is going to be a fine backup catcher when we need one. I don't disagree with that assessment. Who is my ultra awesome new catcher? The one I got from Rivera. I want to make sure that Mr. Gould here is shortlisted. Did you turn Steve Dunn into a reliever instead of a good catcher? No, you are a catcher, my dude. The whole reason I acquired you was to be a catcher, not to be a reliever. I've got plenty of relievers. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about a good quality catcher. Diaz was the best hitter in the majors. That's lovely stuff. Diaz is probably a little overpaid. All things considered, he's probably a little bit overpaid. But he's been so consistently good for so long that I'm more than happy to keep him around, even if he's a terrible third baseman. You could certainly do a lot worse for designated hitters. That's for doggone sure. All right, let's go up to roster expansion. I totally forgot about you, my dude. I'm sorry. You're on the 40-man, but you're going to go to AAA. And we'll go up to roster expansion. Nate Lang, you are going on a rehab assignment. And then I'll call you back up once we get expanded rosters. We're not exactly on a hot streak right now. We're kind of on a tepid streak. The kind of streak that says we have a tiny, minuscule chance of sneaking into the playoffs, but probably not. That's excellent news. It's the other Danny Moreno. I must have all of the Danny Morenos. He's actually had an awful year, but that's fine. Any interesting news here? Not really. Nate Lang, welcome back. Emergency starter, long reliever. What else? What other position could we use another warm body at? I could use another outfielder. Let's go ahead and call up Corb. And let's just let Corb fill in a bit and get the odd at bat here. Like, let me be clear on this. Even if we had had the greatest bullpen in Major League history, I still don't think we make the playoffs this year. I think, in particular, Locke... Actually, Locke ended up having a great season. I was actually concerned about that because he struggled early on, but he really had a great season. Hoskins regressed, which is not a shock to me. Mata had a good season. Maybe not a great one, but a good season. Dan Elliott has been fine, I guess. We just don't have the horses in the rotation. Even if we had kept Rivera. And I think Hoskins might just have to be somebody we move on from. I think we trade him in the offseason. This number right here. He's always going to give up home runs. And he's a fly ball pitcher. He's just going to get creamed in this ballpark. That's just the truth. So we just have to accept that, and we move on with our lives, and we're probably going to trade him in the offseason. Jeff, I am the only person to let you start more than 10 games. I think you need to shut up. Meh. I'm fine with that. Who is Iser? Who is this guy? I've never heard of him before. Huh. He's apparently quite the power-hitting third baseman. Oh, there you have it. Let's just get this season over with. A couple players are going to retire. That's their right. We're just going to sim clear through the end of the playoffs. Of course, we couldn't end the season without one last fuck you. Thanks, game. So, before we go into the playoffs and everything, I want to check something here. Look at this right here. And in particular, look at our record in one-run games. This is the sign of a team that had a bad bullpen this year. If we had had a healthy bullpen, I still think we missed the playoffs, but I think we look a lot more competitive than we were for most of the season. And I know I got through telling you at the beginning stuff that the bullpens aren't important. It's not that they're not important. It's that you have to be careful about who you sign big money contracts to. Because here you've seen, I didn't have the horses in the bullpen, but it didn't matter because the rotation was also bad. The pitching as a whole just didn't make it this year. And that's totally fine. No one has to be brilliant all the time. And I accept that. And we're probably going to flounder until we find that elite level starting pitcher. Oh boy, we can have Steve Reese back. I'm probably just going to non-tender him, to be honest with you. Seriously, shut up. Here you go, rehab. Steve, I'm going to designate you for assignment. Just to get you off my damn roster so you stop complaining. At least Cleveland won the World Series. I'm pretty happy about that. All right. So, Dave Johnson has decided to stay with Baltimore. And I'm happy to have him. I think he's a tremendous player. He's a cornerstone of this team. I am delighted to have him stay with the team. Udaka wants to come back. That's fine with me. I have a new owner. Once we have a better rotation, more money, and better attendance. I had some other people retire. Andros is number 10. All right. Let's go ahead and refill the coaching staff. All right, Carlos Hernandez, you're going to be the manager. Who do I need managers for? Double A and single A. Okie dokie. You go to double A. You go to single A. Up, 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 up. It's Delmarva, right? No, it's Frederick. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fill these coaching spots. I need a good pitching coach. This guy works wonders, so I'm going to take him, obviously. I'm looking for either Rushman or Leiter. How do they not want to be a coach? I would hire Jack Leiter for 1,000 years as my pitching coach, if I could. But maybe they decided not to get into coaching, which is fine. Let me see here, out of curiosity. Yeah, he's not coaching. And what about Rushman? Ah, there's only one N and Rushman isn't there. Nope, that's fine. Alright, I'm going to save the salary arbitration stuff for next episode. But until next time, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed my little thought process into how I build a bullpen. And I know it didn't work this season because everyone got hurt. But I hope it helped you understand how to maybe build your own bullpens a little bit better and to not get suckered in like I did. But until next time, this has been Indian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.